Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to What Would Dorsey Do Friday. I'm Dorsey Pruder, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute, the creator of the Alliance to Solve Parental Alienation. And I am very excited to be coming to you live here this Friday. Welcome, welcome, welcome as people are popping in. Hi, hi, hi to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me live. Today, we're going to be talking about step 4 in the Reconnect, the Alienated Parents Reunification Roadmap. So if you've been following along, thank you so much for participating. We went over the first week, I went live on this about the alienation decoder. So that first lesson or that first module is really about the foundational knowledge of really what parental alienation is and how to decode it. So the common signs and behaviors and the psychological impact on your child. And then the next week we went over the emotional regulator, which really teaches you how to evaluate your emotions and your behaviors and really to create a plan for personal improvement, self-awareness, and growth. And then the next week, we covered the responsibility pledge, really acknowledging your part in the conflict, and then setting up goals and milestones for positive growth in your parenting and in your reunification plan with your alienated child. Excuse me. So I'm excited to be coming to you live this week as we've really had a lot of parents who we've worked through this process with through the years have been reaching out. Usually this time of year is where we start to hear from parents that have implemented the strategies and the skills that we teach, and they've reunited with their children and they've been recovering their relationships. And so usually towards the end of the year, we start to receive holiday cards and messages and celebrations from parents just like you who have struggled sometimes for decades without any contact or relationship with their children. So it is possible to reunite, even for those of you that maybe haven't had a relationship with your child in many, many years. And so I just want to plant that little seed of hope for those of you who may be listening in, who may have gone for many years without any type of contact with your children. And that brings me to what we're going to talk about today, which is step 4, which is conscious communication through the Communication Masterclass. And so if you are listening in and you're in the Alliance, first of all, if you're listening in and you're not in the Alliance to Solve Parental Alienation on Facebook, please make sure that you join the Alliance. So my team who's following along on YouTube, please make sure that the link for the Alliance to Solve Parental Alienation is there so people can join our Facebook group. And if you're listening in the Facebook group, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here and part of our group. The Alliance is very, very different than most groups, and we are actually evolving in our group and providing more content as we are growing and changing some of the ways that we are communicating with you through social media. So if you're starting to see some of those changes in the Alliance, we are purposefully creating a space for really bringing forward the solution. And this is where we are going live with this content as well. So today we're going to talk about conscious communication. And if you are in the Alliance, then if you don't have a concierge, so when we introduced this concept a few years ago, we kind of moved away from it and we're moving back to it. So if you're in the Alliance and you do not have a concierge assigned to you, post in the comment concierge and somebody on my team will connect with you. And what that actually means in the Alliance is somebody that works with my company on our team that will be your point person. So somebody who can answer questions and talk to you about the strategy through Reconnect and some of the other programs that we offer. So if you are seeking support through the Alliance and you haven't connected with a concierge yet, just make sure you put it in the comments and somebody on my team will connect with you and we'll get somebody assigned to you right away. So, all right, let's dive in. Again, thank you for joining in on these lives on Fridays. And I will be going through each step, really a high level of each step of the Reconnect program over the next few weeks that we're launching in January. And in the meantime, make sure you catch all the videos if you haven't watched them already, and stroll through some of the posts that we have posted in the Alliance. And this week, we're going to talk about communication and really how to have honest, or what really mastering honest, assertive, conscious communication actually is, and why this is important to improve your relationship with your alienated child without feeling helpless, without feeling stuck, or what a lot of parents believe, that their alienated child hates them, or they believe that they've got to get the other parent to understand what they're doing and stop, or get the courts or the professional community to get the other parent to change. And just so you know, you're in the right place. I want to really underscore that this strategy really reflects a step in the system that we've used to really help alienated parents, sometimes divorced and separating parents who aren't quite alienated yet, really quickly and predictably master honest, assertive, and conscious communication, so that you can really achieve the relationship that you're seeking with your alienated child. So in short, it's really what's working right now. And the Reconnect program, which I'll dive into a little bit later in this session, is really a guided process, and taking the best of the things that we've been teaching since 2006 and the reunification models that we know work, and really distilling it down into an easy to follow step-by-step formula. And the nice thing about it is, once you go through the process, you can actually go to any of the steps. They really build on each other. So you might be aware that trying to master honest, assertive, and conscious communication with your child so that you can ultimately reunite is a major problem for a lot of alienated parents. And one of the main reasons is you might not be having any communication. You may be a type of parent who sort of shied away, or you were giving your child space, and maybe that's what the court or friends or family are like, don't worry, divorce is hard on the kids, they'll come around someday. And so you sort of pull back, giving them their space, and they haven't come around someday. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're listening and you're like, yeah, that happened to me. That I was listening to other people and I thought I could just pull back, and the kids haven't folded back in. As a matter of fact, they seem to be even farther away. And if that's you, that's common. The other side of the communication scenario is parents who communicate ineffectively. So you're in communication, but the underlying message or the underlying energy of the communication is that you need something, or you want something from the child, like a relationship, or for them to respond. And so your intention, while that seems like the right intention, is misfiring with your kids. So trying to communicate with alienated kids can be really, really challenging and difficult, especially if they're not responding. And in the space of high conflict divorce and custody, it's absolutely flooded with all kinds of professionals, I say loosely, giving really bad advice and creating all kinds of, hype and narrative, and trying to help alienated parents. And ultimately, they're just adding to the overwhelm and the frustration. And every day there's something new coming out, and a lot of people coming out saying things and giving advice. And I hear the same questions from parents all of the time that are trying to communicate with their kids. They're trying to master the gift of conscious communication and having assertive communication and not authoritarian communication. And So we hear questions all the time like, what are the key components to this effective communication? And what am I supposed to say? And how can I practice better communication with my children? And why is honest and assertive communication important for rebuilding relationships? And can't I just tell them what's going on? Is it that level of honesty? And many, many, many questions that we get with regards to how to communicate with alienated children. And the fact is, there are really three main reasons that alienated parents struggle to master honest communication, assertive communication, and really conscious communication. And the first is a fear of making matters worse. So you feel helpless and stuck, and you're afraid of making matters worse. The second is a lot of alienated parents they secretly believe the child, or not so secretly believe their child hates them. And they believe this because the child says this. So they really feel like, well, this is what's actually happening because this is what my child is saying to me. And then a lot of parents also believe that it's the other parent and there's nothing that they need to do. And if they could just get the other parent to change, if they could just get the other parent to understand, or they believe the other parent's never going to change or understand, so there's nothing to be done. Or they believe they can get the professionals to do something about it, or they're going to see what's happening and fix it, and then they don't. And this might feel very familiar to you. And in all of my experiences serving and working with alienated parents, I hear these struggles and pains all of the time. And I hear parents give up because they feel like there's nothing that they can do. And these are all symptoms of a much greater issue, which is the lack of a clear path from point A to point B. So a system that's easy to follow, a clear roadmap that's been proven to help people just like you master honest, assertive, conscious communication in no time. And this is where our next step, which is in phase 2. So it's the first step of phase 2. So we did the first 3, remember, alienation decoder, emotional regulator, and responsibility pledge. That's phase 1, which is self-reflection, learning what's going on the inside. And then now we're going into phase 2. So this is the rebuilding trust phase. And the first step is conscious communication masterclass. And this is where this comes in. And this is how it works. Communication is one of the most important aspects of our lives in all of our relationships. It's how we convey our thoughts, our feelings, the ideas that we have. And effective communication doesn't come naturally to everyone. As a matter of fact, it doesn't come naturally to most people. And many people, just like you, struggle with expressing themselves clearly and really understanding other people's perspectives. And this can lead to misunderstandings, conflict, and damaged relationships like emotional cutoffs that you're experiencing with your alienated child. And this is where the conscious communication masterclass really comes into play. And the first step that clients that go through this process on this path have to do is you have to learn assertive and empathetic communication techniques. And assertive really means being able to express your needs and opinions confidently without being aggressive or passive aggressive. And empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to understand their perspective. So this first step in conscious communication is really crucial for you as an alienated parent because it helps you to develop assertive and empathetic communication techniques. Many times, alienated parents find themselves in situations where they feel completely powerless and unable to communicate effectively with their children and also oftentimes the other parent. And so when you learn assertive skills, these parents, just like you, can express your needs and feelings without being aggressive or passive. So empathetic communication skills are also essential as you try to help create that safe space that open, safe space for your child, the soft place for your child to land. So that opens up the place for dialogue between both of you. So assertive communication involves expressing yourself clearly and confidently and respectfully while respecting the other person's rights and opinions. So this skill is particularly useful when you're dealing with a high conflict situation, and that's often arising during and after a full emotional cutoff or during a parental alienation case in court. So this really enables parents to be heard while maintaining respect for all of the people involved. And then empathetic communication really involves understanding the other person's perspective. So by putting yourself in your child's shoes emotionally. And this technique really builds rapport between your child and you by acknowledging how they might be feeling about the situation. A lot of times alienated parents jump to the conclusion, sometimes it's accurate, but even when it's accurate, you jump into the boat that there's nothing that you have done or nothing you can do, and it's just simply the brainwashing from the other parent. And this holds parents stuck round and round and round and round in this position of not doing the work that can be done to shift how you're showing up and create that beautiful soft place for your children to land. So mastering this assertive and empathetic communication techniques, this is really vital for any parent, any of you going through these situations where you're being alienated from your child. And it really allows you to establish healthy, clear boundaries while still being compassionate towards your child's feelings. So conscious communication, the masterclass, really provides a structured approach that will equip you with practical tools necessary that you need to navigate such complex dynamics successfully. So in the masterclass session of communication, we teach our clients specific techniques for assertive communication using the framework of I messages and use statements in this family dynamic in particular, which can sound very simple, and yet nobody does this out of the gate. And use statements are very accusatory and blaming. And we also help parents develop really deep empathy for their children by practicing these skills and then practicing active listening. And it involves reflecting back what you hear from the other person before responding. And, I just had a coaching session today with a couple, and we spent a good solid half hour to 45 minutes really going through this technique in a couple session. So we don't just work with parents and children. I also work with couples in really teaching these techniques, because the truth is, when you master these skills, you can master creating a healthy environment and relationship with anyone. And this is really, really critically important. And then that leads us to step 2 in the Conscious Communication Masterclass, which is we help our clients really practice that active listening and validating their child's feelings, because children need validation just like anyone else. And when we're communicating with our children about something that matters deeply, we need to be heard and they need to be heard. More importantly, we need to exercise the muscle of active listening in leadership. And it involves paying full attention to what someone is saying without interrupting or judging them or prematurely jumping in, while validating their feelings. And this shows that you're taking those emotions seriously, but not necessarily agreeing with everything that they're saying. So active listening is a critical component of effective communication. And when we work through this in our master class, we are getting down into the nitty gritty and role playing the common things that we see in this family dynamic and taking your real life situations, so your real world situations, and role playing that out with you so you can really learn to build your active listening muscle. And it again involves paying attention fully when your child speaks without interrupting or judging them, and instead seeking clarity on what has been said before responding. So when we deal with our alienated children who may have been influenced negatively against you due to the other parent's tactics, or maybe an extended family member, active listening can go a very long way in building trust between you and your children. So as you validate your child's feelings and you acknowledge their emotions as valid and important, and when a child feels heard, they're more likely to open up and share what is causing them distress, leading to a better communication between you and your child. So when we practice active listening and we're validating the child's feelings, this can really help parents communicate effectively with their children. And the Conscious Communication Masterclass, which is just step 1 in phase 2, step 4 in the whole process, really provides parents with those practical tools necessary to really develop your skills further. So during these sessions, parents learn how important it is for children to feel heard so that they can trust us more easily. And when we're discussing difficult topics with our children, or when they are in difficult situations, we want to be the one that they come to. And you may have heard me say, if this is your first time listening to me, you may not have heard this, but this is why you're the chosen parent. Your child has chosen you because they know you're the one who's going to learn these skills, who's going to do the work to go the distance to recover the family, the whole family, not just the child, but the child within you and the child within your co-parent. So this is really, really important as you are learning these skills and mastering how to show up for your children. And I cover these communication skills in the Reconnect roadmap, which is the alienated parents reunification roadmap. So Reconnect, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that shortly, which is a program that I'll be guiding people through starting in January. And so step 3 in the Conscious Communication Masterclass then is really learning how people who are successful at actually communicating with their children and recovering their unbreakable bond have learned to master the communication skill of communicating without blaming, and focus then shifts on to problem solving. So successful communication means being able to resolve conflict or problems effectively without resorting to blaming or attacking the other person, or blaming or attacking the co-parent. So this approach helps create an environment where both parties feel respected and valued, because it puts aside any negative emotions or accusations that may have been present previously. So in the third part of the session, we really teach clients specific techniques for problem solving, such as brainstorming and using those I messages instead of the you statements like I talked about before, and really focusing on the issue at hand rather than personal attacks, and really anchoring into how you're feeling about a situation, not what the other person is doing. And we also help people or parents understand that it's okay to disagree without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So we can still find solutions that work for both people without all or nothing thinking. So really moving to a more balanced approach. And when we shift the focus towards problem solving rather than assigning fault, parents can work collaboratively with their alienated children and even their co-parent towards a common goal. And I know, I can hear you guys already. You can't co-parent with a narcissist. You can't co-parent with a crazy person, or blah, blah, blah. And the answer to that is, if that's what you believe, then that is true. And this isn't for you. What the work that we're doing won't work for you if you believe that. But if you have a different mindset, and maybe you started that way and your mindset is starting to change, you're starting to see this framework a little differently, then this process may be exactly what you've been looking for. So what I've just shared with you is just step 4 in the Reconnect. the Alienated Parents Reunification Roadmap coaching program. And it's the clearest and most predictable and proven system for anyone who is serious about doing what it takes to achieve your relationship goals with your alienated children. It's for anyone who is willing to take proactive action, anyone who is willing to do something different, anyone who is tired of the old rote way that the family court and the mental health community has been doing things unsuccessfully for decades. And maybe any of you that have been going through the process, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And for those of you who may understand the concepts, but haven't really been able to implement them, then what I'm about to share with you with regards to Reconnect may just be what you need. We partner with our clients as we work with you to achieve these steps or phase one, which is self-reflection. And in this self-reflection, we really utilize the alienation decoder system. And this really helps parents just like you really understand alienation, not whether it's a real pathology and not a pathology. Is it diagnosable? Is it not diagnosable? What actually is effective in resolving the problem? So decoding what's going on in your family and labeling it properly. And then more importantly, who cares what the label is? What do you do about it? Because all of the infighting in the professional community is wasting your time. Let the mental health people figure out their noise. We know what works. And I'm not a mental health provider. I'm a coach for a reason. I'm very focused on solution. And I'm a formerly alienated child, for those of you that don't know, and I know what this family dynamic is. I really discovered this after I went through my own divorce, and this has started happening to my children, and I prevented it from happening. And when I first started this work in 2006, parental alienation was the only terminology. So I went down the rabbit hole. And then when I discovered that there is a diagnosable pathology, I fell down another rabbit hole. How do I get that done? And the truth is, the mental health community just isn't where it needs to be when it comes to this family dynamic. And that's just the reality of the situation. And so we can all be victims and say, well, this sucks, nothing's going to change. Or we could do something about it. And since that's the way this sister rolls, that's exactly what I did. I went to work in solving the problem. And in the solution, I have been working with families since 2006 and created one of the top reunification programs in the world. And we get court ordered all over the world to reunite families. And some of the things that I have discovered in that process is there's really a formula. There's a formula that we use for everyone, including in the high road, that works every time. And this is what I'm sharing with you. And you can follow these steps. You can ask for the roadmap and you can have that and you can follow the steps. And Reconnect is really for those who are really ready to have the guided process, who are ready to go deep with me and a group of people to really recover your alienated child, resurface that unbreakable bond once and for all. So the first module, the alienation decoder, will really get crystal clear on your vernacular, what you say and how you say it and what can you do about it. Then we move into the emotional regulator process. And the emotional regulator is the insight game. We're going to get really clear on where you are dysregulated. And we're going to co-regulate together and bring you back into your body, bring you back into your understanding and awareness on solid ground. This is what's going on. This is who I am. Okay. Grounding you back in and going through a process of emotional regulation so that you understand how to evaluate your own personal emotions and that you're resourced to take action fast. Most of the time, the reason alienated parents don't reunite is because they're dysregulated too. And you have no resources to regulate. And maybe you go into regulation and then you get dysregulated again and you don't really understand, and weeks and months and years go by. Okay. So I'm going to teach you in the emotional regulation or regulator process how to be resourced, how to co-regulate, and how to regulate yourself, and then how you can actually co-regulate with your child. So instead of everybody being attached to the mismanaged emotions, how to actually create managed emotions. And then the final phase of the final step in phase one is embracing responsibility for change, using the responsibility pledge framework to really understand what are you responsible for as the chosen parent. How are you the leader of your family? How can you lead the change, be the change, lead and role model the change that you're seeking in your family? And then we go into stage two. So once we have the foundation, we start rebuilding trust. So the second phase is rebuilding trust. And the first lesson in that is the communication masterclass. So let me just show you what we've been going through. This is phase one. We've done these lessons high level, and we're going to go through these deeply one-on-one each week. So one lesson a week. So in January, we're going to do 3 lessons of phase one. And then the 4th week in January, I'm actually going to do a live call with you. These are all live, but I'm going to do a live coaching, group coaching with you. And we're going to practice. So we're going to go through each of these steps, and we're going to practice what this means in your case, what this means for you as co-regulation, as the regulator, right, for your family. And then responsibility. What's your responsibility pledge as the chosen parent? And then the next phase in February, we're going to start the next module, the next phase, and we're going to start with the communication masterclass. Communicating and all the skills you learn in the masterclass are really useless if you haven't mastered these things, if you haven't understood where you are and how you got there and what to do differently. Once we start the masterclass of conscious communication, we're going to dive into how to have more honest, assertive, conscious communication. It's really, really important. And that's what I've been talking about today. And we're going to build trust, rebuilding trust. And communication is really the core mechanism of ensuring that you can build resilience. And then that's what step 2 is in phase 2, resilience. We're going to be building resilience so that you can manage your stress. And we're going to follow a resilience builder system. And the last step in building trust, so stage or phase 2, is really to start your customization of your trust architect process, which really shows our clients, parents just like you, how to really build. You've laid the foundation of understanding and self-regulation, and now we're going to lay the foundation of trust each and every day, like clockwork, as you're building for that beautiful, soft place for your children to land. And then we're going to move into phase 3, which is the persistence phase. Persistence and tenacity is required here in phase 3. And once you've self-regulated and you're building trust and that's all in place, then we're going to kick off the persistence stage by building out your reconnection initiator system. And this really allows parents to initiate a low pressure reconnection process or plan fast. And we see so many parents make mistakes here because they are unfamiliar with how to create a low pressure reconnection plan. So they do things incorrectly. And many parents, they'll call us and they're like, I was talking to my kid and they showed up and all this stuff, and then they disappeared again. And it's because they didn't know how to create a reunification low pressure plan. And that's what we're going to do when we start phase 3, is we're going to start building the low pressure, right? How to do low pressure reunification. And then we will help you leverage your professional support. Our unique model called the professional ally is such a juicy model because so many parents have no idea how to communicate with the professionals on their team. And so you end up being in a power struggle with the professionals, mainly mental health providers, because you're trying to show them something that they should know already. And you get in the convince and resist dance with them, and it ends up that they turn on you. So instead of being a professional ally, they're now an adversary. And it's really hard to climb out of the adversarial role with the professionals on your team unless you have the professional ally, a unique process on how to actually work with the people on your team to ally them, to understand what's happening, and more importantly, what to do about it. And then the final step of our Reconnect, the Alienated Parents Reunification Roadmap coaching program, is to ensure that our clients are able to cultivate patience so that they can achieve reunification using the persistence compass system. And the last system is all the pieces you need to have in play to stay the course, to go the distance. So one live masterclass a week starting in January. The fourth week, I will be doing a live group coaching, and we will role play the modules, the information that you've learned through each one of those steps. You will also have access to the Chosen Parent Collective. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's a monthly support group where chosen parents, beautiful parents just like you, come together and can ask me questions. So they ask questions about their personal situation, and it's a beautiful container held in unconditional love for parents to really be able to learn and grow together. One of the things I talk a lot about is who you surround yourself with and who are the people that you are seeking advice from? Who are the people that you're seeking support from? Are you in groups on social media and, everybody is complaining, and are you jumping on that bandwagon? Or are you being supported? Are you surrounding yourself with people who are further along in the journey than you? Are you seeking the counsel and advice from somebody who's already done the work? So I'll circle back to something I said at the beginning, which is a lot of new coaches are coming into the space, a lot of new people, a lot of old people with no solution. What is their track record? And, a lot of people are here trying to help, but trying is one thing, helping, actually doing the work is another. And we have a track record of success. We've been helping families since 2006, solved it in my own life, right? Work with people who you know, like, and trust. Work with people who are further along in the journey than you. Do the work yourself. Follow the roadmap. If it resonates with you, do the work, right? I'm giving you the steps. So follow the steps, do the work, so that you can recover your alienated children. The truth is, your children don't care about the professionals in your life. They don't care about me, or for those of you who know Dr. Childress or whoever you're working with, they don't care about us. They care about you. You, their chosen parent. They chose you because they know you're the one who's going to lead them out of the darkness. You're the one, the healthier of the two parents, the one who's willing to go in and do the work to master the skill so you can lead your family back to unconditional love and peace, cooperation. So this program is to ensure that our clients, that parents that really are ready to go deep, can cultivate the patience and skills that they need to achieve reunification. And so if you want to get crystal clear on these steps that you should be following right now to achieve the relationship goal that you have with reunification with your alienated child, then I really highly recommend connecting with your concierge and booking a call. They'll pull up a link here in the comments. Schedule a call with somebody on my team so that they can talk to you about the step-by-step process, a strategy that you can follow to achieve your relationship goals that you want with your alienated child. We're confident in our ability to help you. So I'm excited. For those of you that have stuck to the end, thank you so much for listening. I hope you got some juicy little golden nuggets of things that you can implement right away. For those of you that have already signed up for Reconnect, I'm super excited about working with you starting in January. Actually next week, I'm bonusing as a bonus call for those that enroll. Next week, I will be teaching a holiday communication masterclass. So just as a bonus, a deep private class for those who've already enrolled in Reconnect. So I'll be going through really easy to follow and important strategies using the Reconnect framework for the holiday season. So if you're interested and you want to know more, please make sure you click on the schedule link below, get on our calendar, get connected to your concierge. Let 2024 be the year of reunification for you. It's the year of the dragon, and I love dragons. So let that be the year that you take your relationship back. Let that be the year. Let it be the year that you lead your family out of the pathology, back to this beautiful space of your unconditional love. So I just want to say thank you so much. And you're welcome, Mark. I see your comment there. And, commit to healing and improving your relationship. Be open to seeking the professional guidance and support from somebody who's paved the way further along in the journey than you. And, true success in anything really does take a commitment and an investment of your time, your money, your resources. And that's the only thing that really creates that lifelong change. And do this for the sake of your children. Do it for the sake of all of your relationships. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you here in the Alliance next week. Peace in so you can have peace out. See you next week, everyone. Bye for now.